Hello and welcome back to my channel. Now when I tell you I have the tea, I have tea that has been spilt. My gosh, I had a source come today. This woman has helped me with a few things. She's been on the case with me. In the back, she sends me a little tidbits every now and then, and she's never gone astray. And I just got some tea that is a lot different than the tea that was spilled yesterday on Candace Owens. So that's what we are going to talk about today. Buckle in. We're going to go over what Candace Owens had to share. She's fresh back from maternity leave yesterday and dropped a little on us. And then we're going to talk about the tea that I just received from a source, and it is going to, wow. Just get ready for it. Then we're going to go over some good news that happened this week at Cons. And then, yes, Leslie Sloan has filed a new motion and Bryan Freedman has put in a response to Blake Lively's stuff. So we're going to get into all of that. Buckle up. I'm telling you, grab your emotional lip gloss now because we are going in, girl. We are going in. You are in frame with Mandy Magnan. I am just so excited I can barely contain myself. I'm telling you right now, my gosh, girl, my gosh. It is a good day, but let's get into it. I did hear these rumors last week or the week before when, it started coming out about Taylor Swift, and then Bryan Freedman put in his affidavit, and then we saw, exactly the communications he was looking for from Venable, Taylor Swift's attorneys. And I did hear this little rumbling, but there was no facts. It was just coming from, very broad rumors, if you will. But allegedly, Candace Owens has the source and she found out some tea. Let's take a look right now.
But, and here's the big drum roll, you guys. You're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this. Who was this person? Who was this unexpected dragon that has now served Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds on a silver platter, right? Because this person had to say, this is the exact message that you have to subpoena. And why is that relevant? Because if there is proof that Blake Lively told Taylor Swift to delete text messages back in...
So clearly alleged still. And, who was it? Who is the person closest to Taylor Swift who would protect her?
December, when she first filed this lawsuit. Well, you only tell somebody to delete text messages that prove that the person in the other side of this case is telling the truth, right? So she's telling her to delete text messages that would disprove her narrative. So that person delivered that to Bryan Freedman on a silver platter. Who would have access to that? Well, those messages could have only come into Taylor Swift's phone. So this person does indeed have to be very close to Taylor Swift. And then you get the second element of this, which is going to make the court upset. Drum roll, please, you guys. Allegedly, Taylor Swift's father, Scott Swift.
Yes, you heard that right. It was Tay Swizzy's dad, allegedly. Taylor Swift's dad was the one that went to Bryan Freedman. And of course, that makes a lot of sense. And when I heard this last week, I thought for sure that makes so much sense because, Papa Bear is always going to protect his baby. And his baby happens to be Taylor Swift, right? And what is so wild and what Candace does bring up here is that this all happened during the Super Bowl, which is like very in Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's whole state of being is to try to ruin someone on one of their biggest moments. And I think it's all because Blake Lively wasn't invited this year to the Super Bowl. Ice Spice was there. Ice Spice, who recently unfollowed Blake Lively on Instagram. Blake Lively wasn't invited. And we know that is one of the biggest events for Blake Lively to be near Taylor Swift. If we pull up photos from previous years when they're all hugging and cuddling and, being all cutesy-dootsy. This year she wasn't invited. So her and Ryan, what do? Well, let's extort him. It's just so bananas. But buckle in because the messages I got this morning from a source, I'm telling you right now, get your emotional lip gloss. Today I am using Anastasia. I love this gloss. It's probably one of my favorite glosses that I've ever had. Let's put her on. Okay, because we are going to get ready. I got a message from a source this morning who is close with someone that knows some things, okay? So take this with a grain of salt. I'm sure it's all going to come out in the bathwater anyway once we start getting more discovery and more subpoenas and answers and letters and motions. It is going to come out for sure regardless, but today we're going to talk about it. And because I swore to secrecy on this and keeping it anonymous, I won't even say how close they are right now to the source I'm getting it from or where they work or anything like that. But basically, Bryan Freedman has all of Taylor Swift's texts. He already has them. The Wayfarer parties have all of the communications from Taylor Swift, all of the texts and all of the legal communications from Taylor Swift and Blake Lively. They've already had it. They have it. They have it. Bryan Freedman is sitting on it. And it is like Bryan Freedman. I mean, he even said in his last letter, I won't give up my source, obviously, unless you make me. He's waiting. They have it. They have the text. And I'm going to read the message, one of the messages that was sent to me in this conversation this morning. And there are allegedly a lot more text messages than just the one of Blake Lively asking Taylor Swift to delete all of their messages. And this is what it says. Tay Swizzy was more involved in the penthouse incident than the innocence she claims. The rest was a shock to her. Essentially, Blake and Ryan were like, we don't like this guy. He's a douchebag. Help us F with him. Like, we want to ruin his week. So, okay, in Mean Girl style kind of stuff, you know, it's very Mean Girl-ish, but allegedly, Taylor Swift had no idea that they meant ruin his life. So when she showed up at the penthouse, it was just, she thought, you know, shake him up a little bit, rattle him a little bit because, you know, her bestie doesn't like him. She thinks he's a clown and a creep as per Blake's own text messages. But then when she realized that they really meant to ruin his life, not just his week, she went running from them after that because she wanted no part in this destruction of an innocent bystander. And that is why she's taken the path of silence and is playing ball with Justin's team. Because it went too far. And it continues to go too far. To this day, they are still pushing and going too far. So that's the scoop. That's the source I have. They're saying, and it's reliable because their position, they just know to know, you know. And yeah, they have the text messages and they have text between Blake and Taylor. And Blake wanted to ruin his life because she didn't like him. And we'll see if we get to see any of those text messages. But if this is true, and I believe it is, I believe it to be true, or I wouldn't be sharing it here. We will be seeing them if we're allowed. They might be, you know, attorney eyes only. But Bryan Freedman, I think in the next couple of weeks, and as this case unfolds, we are going to be getting a lot more information about the complete evil, dark, absolute dubious and manipulation tactics in order to ruin some people's lives. And those people happen to be collectively the Wayfarer parties. When these texts come out that prove yet again Blake Lively to be a manipulator, bitter, doing this out of fun, it seems like. She just thought that they were creeps and clowns and weak. So she went on this rampage to destroy them and take over the movie because she thought she can do it so much better. When these texts come out, I hope Ryan and Blake are ready to sign that $400 million check and buy themselves a one-way ticket each into oblivion. Thank you. thank you, thank you, go away, please, because what you have done here is absolutely wild, and your power day by day by day is shrinking. And we're going to make sure of it, because there is no way that with your full chest have got this far trying to destroy these people's lives and are out here parading around like everything is so Gucci and everything is so awesome. Meanwhile, the devastation that will forever be a part of these people's lives because of your choice is heartbreaking. And I hope that you do pay. Please tag all the creators and all the bigger channels, because that tea is so hot. There are literally, apparently, allegedly text messages, and I know that I'm a smaller creator on here, but this is going to come out one way or another. So you heard it here first, that there are texts where Blake claims that she wanted to ruin his life or week or whatever it be. But if they're able to use these little cherry-picked text messages to concoct some ridiculous story that doesn't prove anything, then these texts will definitely prove that there was a bigger plan in Blake and Ryan's head when it came to making sure that they took down Justin Baldoni and had the rights to the movie. I mean, the nicest man in the world. Like, I don't know him obviously personally, but I mean, really, guys, like that's who you've decided to put your boot on. That's who you decided to hold down. Jamie Heath and Justin Baldoni. Like, ew, it just screams absolute disgusting, really, because it's like, go up against people your own size. You know what I mean? I mean, they're so nice and they are so kind, and they have done more to like give back and send a positive message and create so much change that you could never in your hearts ever do, because it is dark and you all need help and Jesus or something, okay? But in some good news this week, not only did Scarlett Johansson close out SNL 50, amazing hosting, by the way. Her skits were so funny. And it did dawn on me that Blake Lively claimed to have turned down the opening show. Like, she didn't host the opening show because of the smear campaign. But Scarlett Jo, she closed it, okay? She closed that show, as well as being at Cannes Film Festival with her husband Colin Jost. And People magazines have coined them a power couple at Cannes. Amazing. And Scarlett Johansson, she had her red carpet moment, as well as a 5-minute standing ovation for her directorial debut. I am so psyched to see this movie. There's already Oscar buzz about it, and the fact that Scarlett Jo used a real woman in her 90s who just started her acting career, it just honestly inspires me so much that it is never too late to chase your dreams. It is never too late to pivot in life. It is never too late. If it is in you, you can do it. It is yours. It is your dream and your dream alone. And I am just so psyched to see this movie, Eleanor the Great. And let's just take a look here at Scarlett Jo coming down the red carpet, because she is just so stunning. Here she is here. Stop, girl. Ah, just so cute. Running like that to her husband. They are like literally the cutest. The cutest. This picture just says everything that we need to know. Look at, I mean, just absolutely flawless. I can go on and on about Scarlett Johansson. I just think she is, I mean, an actor, director, filmmaker. She's so funny. I mean, everything she does, I just feel is amazing. I adore Scarlett. Ugh, I can go on and on, but okay. And now let's get into the recent court filings, so we're all up to date on everything that happened. And I just want to say, Leslie Sloan, ain't nobody got time for you, girl. Where did you just pop up from? My gosh, but here we are now dealing with Leslie Sloan and her letter. But I will say this, and don't come for me. Don't come for me, but gotta call a spade is a spade, you know, a fork's a fork, or whatever those sayings are. Their lawyers for Leslie Sloan are good. Okay. I read this letter last night. It's very short. It's to the point. There's no BS. There's no fluff. And then it just ends. And we're going to read it because it is short. But I will tell you, her lawyers are really good. They're just like bam, 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 bam. Like when I was reading it, I was like, that's it? Where's the rest? I could have kept reading it. It was very interesting. But we're going to go over it right now. And they were they're not fluffing around. You know what I mean? They said what they had to say, period. So let's just read what Leslie Sloan here has to say. This is Miss Leslie Sloan, Blake Lively's PR person. We remember her, right? She went out on her own earlier in, I think, the early 2000s, maybe around 2014. Harvey Weinstein backed her company and helped her open it. So now she is filing a letter motion to compel James Wituska to produce documents that she needs in order for her case. Now, if we remember, it was quoted by a journalist allegedly that she told a reporter that Justin Baldoni had sexually assaulted Blake. Then she came back and said, well, I don't know. First of all, prove that I said that. Number two, what's the difference? Sexual assault, sexual harassment. I didn't know there was a difference. Something like that. So now she's filed this motion to compel along with the subpoena that she requested from this journalist. It is important to know that the journalist has refused to comply with the subpoena. Therefore, that's why Leslie Sloan has filed this motion to the judge. So this motion was filed yesterday on May 21st, and it goes a little something like this. Dear Judge Lehman, on behalf of Leslie Sloan and Vision PR Inc., the Sloan parties, we write pursuant to Individual Rule 4C to request that the court compel third parties James Wituska to produce documents responsive to the Sloan Party subpoena request for productions number 5, 6, 7, and 13. We conferred in good faith with Wituska's counsel before we were unable to reach resolution. Wituska's documents concerning this dispute, including his text messages with the Wayfarer parties and their counsel that are quoted directly in the case's operative pleadings, are plainly relevant and discoverable. The discovery sought is central to this case. Wituska is a reporter for the Daily Mail who worked hand in hand with the Wayfarer parties to drag Miss Sloan into this litigation. Did he drag you into this, Leslie? Or did you do that all on your own? Interesting. We'll talk about that later. The thrust of the Wayfarer party's claim against Miss Sloan is that she allegedly told Wituska that Blake was sexually assaulted. But the Wayfarer party's own pleadings indicate that sexual assault were Wituska's chosen words, not words that Miss Sloan ever uttered. The amended complaint does not allege what specific words Miss Sloan may have said when she said them, or in what context. Instead, it includes a screenshot of an undated text message between Wituska and Melissa Nathan, which was purportedly exchanged following the release of Lively's administrative complaint on December 20th, 2024. In the text, Wituska, not Miss Sloan, writes, now she's saying that Blake was sexually assaulted. As explained in the Sloan party's motion to dismiss, the phrase sexually assaulted appears to be Wituska's own characterizations of details included in Lively's administrative complaint, and not any words Miss Sloan ever said. Indeed, the screenshot embeds an image of Wituska's August 8, 2024 conversation with Miss Sloan and then states that Miss Sloan did not mention any allegations of sexual assault. This is, of course, consistent with the fact that no one, including the Daily Mail, has ever published an article accusing Baldoni of sexual assault in connection with the dispute. I love that she put this in bold, as in, like, if she had said that, they would have reported it. And because they didn't report it, she never said that. Like, she wields all the power in PR and they're just going to report exactly what she says. It's not really a good argument, but it's kind of funny that they put it in bold. Like, obviously her word If she would have said it, they would have published it. The Wayfarer parties themselves further confirm that Miss Sloan never accused Baldoni of sexual assault in their complaint in their prior action against the New York Times, which included a screenshot of another text change where Vituska told Melissa Nathan and Bryan Freedman that he had many conversations with Miss Sloan about Blake, and never once did she say anything about sexual assault. Emphasis added. Despite a complete lack of Rule 11 support for the allegations that Miss Sloan accused Baldoni of sexual assault or made any other allegedly defamatory statements concerning the Wayfarer parties, the Wayfarer parties have sued the Sloan parties for defamation and related claims based solely on their misreading of Vituska's texts. Vituska's documents and testimony, however, will clarify that any use of the phrase sexual assault was his words and not Miss Sloan's, and will end the frivolous claims that Sloan parties have been forced to defend for half a year. Reporter's privilege does not apply. Vituska invoked the reporter's privilege as grounds to refuse to comply with the Sloan parties' documents request. This objection is without merit because 1. Vituska waived the privilege. 2, even if he didn't waive it, the material sought is not news-gathering material, so the privilege does not apply. And 3, even if the privilege did apply, it is overcome here. The privilege was waived. Vituska waived the reporter's privilege by voluntarily disclosing information about Miss Sloan to the Wayfarer parties and their counsel. The reporter's privilege cannot be used as a shield to protect that which has already been exposed to view. Moreover, to the extent Vituska is invoking the privilege to protect the Wayfarer parties, they waived it by exerting their conversations with Vituska in their publicly accessible complaints. The material sought is not news-gathering material covered by the privilege. Regardless of waiver, the court should compel Vituska to produce documents and communications in response to request numbers 5 through 7 and 13, to the extent those requests seek material concerning Vituska's furnishing information to the Wayfarer parties and their counsel for purposes of litigation, rather than seeking information from the Wayfarer parties and their counsel for purpose of reporting the news. In other words, the reporter's privilege does not apply to Vituska's conversation with Nathan and Freedman to the extent he was supplying them with information to be included in a complaint, rather than gathering information from them to be included in an article. Affirming, holding the reporter's privilege did not apply where, at the time the reporter directed that the information be gathered, she did not intend to use the reports to disseminate information to the public, and was instead intending to help a person standing trial. Of course, even if the reporter's privilege did apply, it does not. It is overcome where, as here, the information sought is non-confidential and 1, highly material and relevant, 2, critical or necessary to the maintenance of the claims or defense, and 3, not attainable from any alternative source. First, the material sought is not merely relevant, it is central, as explained above. The only basis for the Wayfarer parties' claim against the Sloan parties is Vituska's statement. In discovery, the Wayfarer parties have not produced a single document connecting Miss Sloan with any alleged defamatory statements concerning sexual assault or Baldoni being a sexual predator. Are you throwing Ryan Reynolds under the bus there? Nor have they identified a single person who she alleged made those statements. The statements the Wayfarer parties attribute to Vituska in their complaints are therefore the sole basis for their claims against the Sloan parties. Vituska's documents are therefore highly material. Second, given the centrality of Vituska's representations, the Sloan parties cannot meaningfully defend themselves without discovery necessary to understand the statements. Third, the material sought is not reasonably obtainable from other available sources because only Vituska has access to the full scope of information necessary to clarify or contextualize his statements. For example, even if Nathan or Freeman somehow knew that Vituska meant when he said, "Now she's saying that Blake was sexually assaulted," their testimony would be wholly speculative. Moreover, they are in an adversarial position to the Sloan parties and therefore cannot serve as a reliable source for the information sought. And then it just ends. It just ends just like that. Like no conclusion, no points, no whatever. And then the footnote I found very interesting because it says, it is the journalist's burden to demonstrate that the material sought is confidential. Here, the information sought is non-confidential because unlike an anonymous source, it was not divulged under a cloak of confidentiality. Witowska is scheduled to sit for deposition on June 4th. Mark your calendars. To the extent Witowska intends to invoke the reporter's privilege in an effort to resist that subpoena, it is likewise applicable to the testimonial context and Witowska's testimony in critical to the Sloan party's ability to defend against the defamation claim. And just on the screen here, I've pulled up all of the court dockets. This is the last page. This is just the Wayfarer party's one with Blake Lively. But it is very interesting. Oh my gosh, look at all this stuff filed since I looked this morning. Holy moly. Holy camole here, guys. But then she did here put in the attachment. And this is just the subpoena that she sent and then their responses. And their response is pretty much like, no, we're not complying. We're not complying with you. So now she's asked the judge to compel them to, help with their subpoena and give them all the information that they need so Leslie Sloan can properly defend themselves. But my question to Leslie Sloan is, okay, maybe you didn't say that he sexually assaulted you, but also you are shady AF because number one, you broke the truce allegedly within like 9 minutes of making a truce with them. You were changing stories and narratives in the news media. You were talking to the news media when you shouldn't have been and changing narratives about your client, Blake Lively. And also, you were part of getting the text messages from Jennifer Abel, which you had no business having. I have not read this yet, but this was filed by Bryan Freedman and the Wayfarer parties, and it's a letter response in opposition to motion, which is addressed to the judge. Let's take a look. Filed May 21st, 2025. Lively versus Wayfarer Studios, LLC. Dear Judge Lyman, as counsel for Wayfarer Studios, LLC, Wayfarer, and It Ends With Us Movie, LLC, collectively, the Wayfarer entities, we write in opposition to Blake Lively's motion to compel for production of documents related to an ongoing workplace investigation. The investigation being conducted by independent outside legal counsel retained by Wayfarer. The motion should be denied because it seeks disclosure of materials that are not in the Wayfarer's entity's possession, custody, or control. Wow. Lively first contends that the investigation is a disingenuous charade because the Wayfarer's entity should have but failed to investigate Miss Lively's concerns when she first raised them back in May 2023, distorts the record. Lively fails to note that her allegations were first disclosed on December 20th, 2024, in the complaint Lively filed with the California Civil Rights Department, the CRD. The current investigation was promptly initiated by Wayfarer in January of 2025. Wayfarer retained Rains, Feldman, and Littrell LLP and Adam Investigations Counsel, Adam, collectively the investigators, to conduct an independent investigation into Lively's newly surfaced claims. Second, as Lively is well aware, the investigation is ongoing. Accordingly, the investigators' findings, reports, witness statements, and related materials have not been disclosed to Wayfarer. Accordingly, the Wayfarer entities have no documents in their possession, custody, or control that are responsive to Lively's request, and so informed Lively's counsel on May 10th, 2025. As this court was previously held, a party cannot be compelled to produce materials it does not possess. Yo, what did I say? What did I say? These motions that they're filing are for clickbait. Blake Lively doesn't want to know the truth. She doesn't want to get to the truth. If she wanted to get to the truth when she first filed the first lawsuit against Jed Wallace in Texas, he was going to present her with an affidavit and discovery that he didn't do any of the things that she claimed, and she pulled the lawsuit. She doesn't care about the truth. She filed these motions in order to get headlines buzzing that Justin Baldoni is investigating Wayfarer for sexual harassment and misconduct. That's all it was. And he says right here, they told Lively's counsel on May 10th that they don't have it yet. And yet still, this week she filed a motion to compel stuff that they don't have. It's Delulu. Somebody's lying. That's all I'm going to say. Somebody's lying. So either Blake's team just filed that because they don't believe Bryan Freedman or what. But it's just so sketchy, y'all. It's sketchy. In fact, the Wayfarer entities presently have no knowledge as to whether such documents in fact exist. The Wayfarer entities have made clear and reaffirm here that if and when any responsive, non-privileged materials are received upon the conclusion of the investigation, they will be reviewed and produced in accordance with the Wayfarer entity's discovery obligations. Third, Lively's contention that the materials from the ongoing investigation fall outside the protections of the attorney-client privilege and work product doctrine is baseless and contrary to well-settled law. As the investigators have confirmed, both in written objections to Lively's subpoena and in correspondence with her counsel, they are using their legal training and professional judgment to gather and analyze facts for the purpose of advising Wayfarer on Lively's new claims. Courts have consistently held that such investigations, when undertaken by counsel to render legal advice, are protected from disclosure by both the attorney-client privilege and attorney-work product doctrine. Denying motion to compel documents relating to corporations' internal investigation because all such investigations were conducted by counsel and such subject to the attorney-client and or work product privilege. Granting non-party law firms' motion to squash subpoenas served by plaintiffs on the ground that it called for documents created in the course of an independent investigation of defendant company that were protected by the attorney-client privilege and or work product doctrine. Lively's demand that the Wayfarer entities identify all witnesses contacted and turn over notes, recordings, and communications relating to those in interviews, even while the investigation is still underway, is not only invasive and unprecedented, it seeks to undermine the investigation process itself. Especially given the high-profile nature of this litigation, premature disclosure of the request materials would risk chilling witness candor, distorting the fact-gathering process, and undermining the neutrality that is fundamental to a credible inquiry. Wayfarer has not yet asserted or waived the attorney-client privilege because, again, it does not have the documents from the investigation and cannot yet review them for privilege. And in any event, such a waiver, even if made, would not compel the production of an attorney work product held by the investigators, which remains independently protected under well-established law. Work product is protected to preserve the adversarial process. Fourth, Lively's claims that the Wayfarer entities waived privilege by placing the adequacy of the investigation at issue via its 13th affirmative defense. Fourth, the Lively's claim that the Wayfarer entities waived privilege by placing the adequacy of the investigation at issue via its 13th affirmative defense misrepresents both the timing and the scope of that defense. That defense has nothing to do with the investigation now underway and was initiated in January 2025 in response to Lively's new allegations raised for the first time in her December 2024 CRD complaint. The Wayfarer entities have not, as Lively contends, cited or relied upon the current investigation in any pleading, nor placed it at issue in this litigation. The cases cited by Lively in her motion on this point are entirely opposite. They all involve defendants who expressly relied on the adequacy of their internal investigations to defend against claims. As discussed, the Wayfarer entities have made no such assertion and have not put the current investigation at issue. Finally, the investigators to whom Lively issued a subpoena have properly objected to the subpoena on privilege and work product grounds. While the Wayfarer entities take no position here on the contents of those objections, their existence demonstrates that the discovery process regarding those materials is already proceeding through proper channels. Should Lively wish to contest any specific privilege claims or other objections, the appropriate route is to do so via the subpoena process, not by seeking to compel the Wayfarer entities to produce materials they have not received. For these reasons, the Wayfarer entities respectfully request that the court deny Lively's motion to compel. Yeah, I agree. And while we're on here and we just saw that there was a few more things filed today, let's just quickly go over to see what exactly was happening literally this afternoon, an hour before I was sitting down to make this video. So we have a notice of appearance by Lynn B. Oberlander on behalf of James Victuska. So that is their lawyer, I'm sure. So they have to get them in. Then we have a letter motion for extension of time, and that was filed by James Victuska to produce documents, and that's addressed to the Judge Lehman. So they are replying. Then there's a notice of appearance by Thomas Byrne Sullivan, and that's also for Victuska. Then we also have a notice of appearance of an Isabel Salomnia, and that's also on James Victuska. I mean, this guy works for Daily Mail, right? So they're going to get all of their lawyers. So he has now 3 lawyers coming in, and then we have an order of a motion for an extension of time, and Judge Lehman has granted that motion for a response. And yeah, so not really all that much, but let's see what this main document is saying. Okay, so this was the letter filed from James Victuska's lawyers. This is an extension of time to file a response and a reply, and we already read Leslie Sloan's right at the beginning. That was the first one that we read. This is the response to that, filed today. So this was filed literally mere moments ago on May 22nd, 2025, an electronic filing. Dear Judge Lehman, the form represents non-party journalist James Victuska in connection with the subpoena served on him by consolidated defendants Leslie Sloan and Vision PR in the above referenced action. We write pursuant to the court's individual practices to request an extension of time to respond to the Sloan party's letter motion to compel James Victuska to produce documents. Letter motion. In support of his request, Mr. Victuska states as follows. 1. The Sloan parties filed their letter motion on May 21st, 2025, notifying Mr. Victuska, a non-party who does not receive CM ECF notifications for this matter of the filing at 8:45 p.m. last night. Under this court's individual practices, Mr. Victuska's response to the Sloan party's letter motion is due May 23rd, 2025. Mr. Victuska has not made any prior request for adjournment or extensions of time. An adjournment of the deadline to respond to the Sloan party's letter motion is necessary and warranted to allow the parties time to further meet and confirm, possibly resolve the outstanding issue. Finally, an adjournment would be also accommodate vacation schedule over the intervening holiday weekend. The Sloan parties consent to the requested extension. There is no hearing date set for the Sloan party's letter motion, and Mr. Victuska is not party to this action, has no other business before the court. Based on the foregoing, Mr. Victuska respectfully requests that the court grant his request for an extension time to respond to the Sloan party's motion until May 28th, 2025. And the judge has requested that motion. So he is going to get an extension, and it is a long weekend for America this weekend. So I don't know if anything's going to happen now until probably next week. But what I will say too is I want sanctions too. And I respectfully request to the court sanctions on the following people. Stephanie motherfucking Jones, number 1, come to the front. Leslie Sloan, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and all of their representatives for the frivolous claims and also the lies that have been told. Straight up lies, like literally waste of time lies. When you're reading it and you're seeing the text messages that say one thing and then they're literally saying, see, this proves it, this happened. You're like, no, it doesn't. It's a lie. And first, I would like them, first off the bat, number one to all of these people. Can you please start by explaining to this court the in-frame jury, okay? Can you please explain to us whose idea it was and how it came to be that you filed a fake lawsuit with Ryan Reynolds's inactive company that Blake Lively just happened to become the CEO of in 2024, called Van Zandt? You used this inactive company that Blake Lively just slapped her name on to file a fake lawsuit to get a sham subpoena to get Jennifer Abel's otherwise illegal private phone records. Like, how did you know to do that? How did you know? Unless Stephanie Jones didn't already share them with you. How did you know? And what's so funny in that whole thing is that you didn't name anyone. John Doe's 1 through 10. Didn't even put Blake Lively's name on it. However, if you knew by filing that lawsuit to subpoena Stephanie Jones for only the phone records from Jennifer Abel between Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, and Melissa Nathan, collectively the Wayfarer parties, then you knew what you were after. So then why did you insist on putting John Doe's 1 through 10? Because if you knew what you were going after, then you knew who the people are. So you could have put their names as defendants so that they could defend themselves. Right? And what's so crazy even about that, if you could please explain, is that you pulled that lawsuit right before you filed your CRD complaint in December, the day before. Or a couple days before. I don't remember right now. I'm just kind of going off of it. Without any outcome. You didn't get anything that you were looking for except the text messages that you got through a subpoena who you knew exactly who to subpoena, but still used John Doe's 1 through 10. It's absolutely incredible. And didn't mention anything about this except kept quoting lawful subpoena, lawful subpoena, lawful subpoena, lawful subpoena. You didn't say anything about the lawsuit. You didn't provide the subpoena. You didn't do anything like that. You didn't say a word about this until an internet sleuth named Katie from the Crystal Ball found it and leaked it. And then the Daily Mail covered it. Now we've all covered it. Sham subpoena. And now you're like, oh, well, we didn't do anything. We didn't blah, 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 blah. If it's not illegal, it's unethical. And if it's not unethical, it's immoral and gross and shady AF. So if you could just explain that first to everybody who was involved coordinating this little move, just like straight away. Because all of your claims are full of lies. I could pull up Stephanie Jones's right now and show you immediate. The way they've cherry-picked out of context text messages and then gave a big blurb of what that means. But if those were true, there would be more context to the cherry-picked text messages. And I mean, Blake, don't even get me started. Her whole CRD complaint is a big lie. It's been unfounded. The birthing scene, the dance montage, the pumping, the whole timeline. If you go through the whole timeline, everything was Gucci until she got her PGA credit. And then completely kicked them out of everything. It's disgusting. It's distasteful. And what you guys did here, I just want this explained before I play two lies and a truth on your lawsuits and find every single lie that's there, because it's so obvious. Whose idea was it to mess with the courts like that and file a freaking fake lawsuit to get communications that prove nothing? But it's okay. It's okay because, we thought, Bryan Freedman, big dog, and he is a boss, a genius, a monster and a dragon you want in your corner. He fights for the little guy. But the list of lawyers that Blake and Ryan have, she hired an ex-CIA agent who used to work for Airbnb black box company, and his job was to cover up and pay off people who were victims of assault, rape, violence, burglary, murder. Witnesses to those things, and victims and survivors who stay in Airbnbs. That was his job, to go with a blank check and make sure these people don't speak. That's who Blake Lively has working for her right now. And the Wayfarer parties, they have Bryan Freedman, and I think he is going to come out on top because he has the truth and the proof, and now Taylor Swift behind him. And all I want to say is, Justin Baldoni, please keep fighting and stay strong and keep fighting. I know this is absolutely unbelievable, and you must be heartbroken and tired and exhausted and just worn. Keep fighting. You have the truth, you have God, and you have the people behind you, and we are fighting for you. Okay? These people have come at you for being too positive. They've come after your religion. They've come after your family. They come after your morals. They come after you for your brand, for your purpose here, for your mission. They've come at you. They've tried everything to destroy you and discredit you. And they've even come after your supporters, telling us that if we're supporting you, we must be far right conservatives. We must be MAGA lovers. We must be this, that. They're on the attack, and they are fighting hard, and you need to fight harder. You need to stay in it, because all of the attacks that we've gotten, everything, we are still here, and we are fighting for you because we believe you, and we're on your side, and we are on the side of truth and justice and what is right. And what is being done to you and the Wayfarer parties is disgusting. But the truth will come out, and the light will shine, and it will always prevail over darkness. So if you ever see this, just know that we still got you. We're here for you, and we know how hard this must be for you. Hang in there, okay? Well, that was a little rant, but thank you for being here. I just kind of just went for it there. Thank you for being here. That's it. That's the episode today, guys. There was a lot in there. I hope you got something from it. I cannot wait if any of these texts from Taylor Swift's teams gets leaked. And what is so crazy about this whole thing is Taylor Swift has not denied any of this. Y'all, you know, if this wasn't true, her team would be the first to be talking to people and Daily Mail and everyone. Okay? Nothing. Her silence is extremely loud and tells us everything that we need to know. Also, shout out to Taylor Swift, who had her new Look What You Made Me Do. I guess it's like a remix now. It's coming out again. It was on The Handmaid's Tale, and actually, it was placed so perfectly in the show. This is where her song needed to be. It was done very well, okay? That was great. And yeah, let's see where this goes. But today I just want to leave you with something a little exciting, and I'm going to geek out for a minute because I'm so excited about it. I've been kind of working on my system, and I was going through, if you guys have been following me, like a lot of audio problems and video problems and this, and I was like really thinking about changing the entire thing up and learning something new. And I was like, what can I do to just make this more seamless and just better and more enjoyable for me to make the videos? And I didn't know, so I really sat down the last couple of days, and I've been playing with the system. I use OBS Studio, and I was working it out and trying to figure out, how do I interact with the browsers and how do I do this? Because honestly, when I was showing you guys stories and stuff, I was taking screenshots, saving those screenshots, and then putting them up one by one by one. It was taking me so long. And today I figured it out, and now I'm able to like do it. And it didn't take that long, but I just couldn't figure out how to do it. It's not like my forte of savviness. So when I tell you guys, you don't have to be perfect to start, you just need to start, this is what I mean. There will be learning pains, and you'll, ups and downs and ups and downs, but you don't need to be perfect to start. You just need to start. And this is a lesson. And I was so geeked out today when I was making the video. I think that's why I have so much energy today, because I was like, oh my God, I can just do it right here. It's so cool. So anyway, I'll leave you with that. Just start with what you know now. And you don't have to wait for the perfect time, the perfect moment, whatever it is in you, whatever that voice is, whatever your dream is, you can just start now and keep building on and building on and building on, you know? And yeah, anyway, that's what I'll leave you with. But drop all your comments. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for always keeping me informed and sharing very good intel and emailing me. And if you do have any information or anything happening with these things or anything else that you like me to talk about or look into, I'm still putting together a little bit of a deep dive currently on Bryan Reynolds. So if you have anything, I'll put my email on the video. Shoot me an email. I'm here for you. Thank you so much. Have the best day. I love you. Bye. Talk to you soon.